How's it going, guys? It's your boy Lieutenant Dan here with another, live video. Wow, that sounds great, actually. That sounds awesome. Another live video for you guys here from Orlando, Florida. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Monday. Happy Monday to all of you. It's Monday, right? It's goddamn Monday. Okay. Whew. Man, my brain right now, fried brain, dude. Fried brain. After the news today and all the things that have been going on, all the news that I've been trying to put together, yeah, man, my brain is fried. But we're gonna get into it. We got quite a few things to talk about today, and today is going to be a talk on the g-Dawg mock draft from January, the Kareem Hunt story that just broke just a few minutes ago, and the AAF. What about that? Did you guys watch any AAF? Did any of you guys in the chat watch some AAF this weekend? Did you check out the games on Saturday and on Sunday? Did you watch the opening to the AAF? What did you think about the rules? The rule changes. What did you think about the flow of the game? The level of competition down there. We'll get to all of that and more, but before we get in straight to it, I want to say hi to all my friends and family in the chat. Good to see all the grounders here today. Rose Stacks and Dexter Valsh. Good to see Cedric Britton. Lenore Designs in here. Greg Jackson. Jason Turner. Rise up, stay grounded. Hope you're doing well. Jason, belated happy birthday. I believe I missed your birthday. I'm so sorry. Brian Long. Good to see you in here. King's Quest. Good to see you in here. King Quest. Young King. Good to see you in the chat as well. Justin Black is in the building. Law Nation. Salute, famo. I definitely want to be on the show. Want to have you on the show sometime. Hit me up, Law Nation, on hit me up on Twitter in those DMs, my man. Good to see everybody in the chat. I really appreciate you guys being in here. Let's talk about this stuff. Let's get it straight into it. Let's actually start with the AAF stuff because I think that's really interesting. And something that happened before the Kareem Hunt stuff. So let's get straight into this. But AAF started on Saturday. 8 teams in the league right now. They're calling it the developmental league for the NFL. Guys that have been cast off, guys that are trying to get a second chance to go back to the NFL again, get a starting job, guys that just needed a platform to go back into this again. You get what I'm saying? Guys that just needed an extra chance to be able to go stick with a roster. And a couple things that I wanted to talk about. First of all, no extra points. No extra points. Teams must go for 2. I love that. Make the players play. Make the most important players play. Nothing against kickers. Let's not start that nonsense. Nothing against kickers. But in the AAF, there's no kicks for an extra point. There are field goals. So you still need a kicker out there doing their work. But no extra points, and that saves a lot of time. The AAF play clock is 35 seconds. That's 5 seconds shorter. But it makes teams hurry up, get to the line, get your play in, get your people set, go. I like that too. I don't think it's a major impact on the league itself, but I like that. I really like that. No kick returns. Yes, it takes out a dynamic, large piece of the game, but you know what it also does? Saves a lot of time. And one of my biggest pet peeves of the NFL is that it is too long. Way too long. Look, I'm with everybody in here. I love to have my whole Sunday, Monday, Thursdays, all taken up by the NFL games, okay? I love cooking out. I love going, oh, there's another game coming on soon. I cannot wait. But I don't want to spend 3-4 hours watching a football game. I'm not at a baseball game. I'm at a football game. We should be going. Less TV timeouts in the AAF. I really like that. There's a 15-yard illegal defensive penalty in the AAF. You cannot blitz with more than 5. I love that. Makes some teams think a little bit differently. Showcases some DBs and linebackers' skills in coverage, and that's something I, as a defensive guy, really like. I think it really proves to some of those guys on four-man rushes, on three-man rushes. Hey, if you can get to the quarterback with this many guys, then you've got something special. You might be an NFL player. I like that. I like that a lot. No onside kicks and a sky judge. Love it. Love that stuff. Love that stuff. Makes me excited. Makes me excited to watch AAF. Those are things that are truly, truly affecting the game's speed and pace. Get things right the first time. And if you don't get it right on the first time, the sky judge comes in and he makes sure that he gets that call right. I love that. We had some games over the weekend, and I thought all of them were a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. Let me know in the chat if you like it too. Law Nation says if I was 15 years younger, I would try out for the league for real, for real. I like it. I had a lot of fun. Interesting stat for all the peeps in the chat. The AAF beat out NBA on television. It beat out most of the races on television. It was one of the most watched programs over the weekend. And I couldn't tell the difference between an NFL crowd and an AAF crowd because they were loud as hell, especially in certain stadiums, like with Mobile or Birmingham, Birmingham. I loved it. I thought it was great. And some people were a little, and these are obviously nitpicky things, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, these uniforms, they look so wacky." Why don't you go look at the creamsicles that the Buccaneers were wearing? Come on, man. Go look at some of these. Go look at the Steelers Bumblebee jerseys. Don't tell me. Don't tell me the NFL doesn't have some wacky packy stuff going on over here, huh? I loved it. And we got our Orlando team too, so we'll hear some more Orlando Apollos talk on here, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be really interesting. Going to be really, really interesting. I like all the logos. I like all the names. The level of play reminded me of something of a college game, really, to be honest. And a lot of college coaches are performing down there. Steve Spurrier for Orlando, he came out with the whole Spurrier playbook, and they stomped. They stomped Atlanta 40-6. That was a lot of fun. So that's kind of my feelings on the AAF. And by the way, really quickly, I want to state that the AAF is a developmental league. And I cannot stress that enough. 8 teams, developing young guys or guys that want second chances. And that is something that the NFL has needed for so long. This gives guys opportunities to go play in the NFL. So I bet the roster turnover for these teams is going to be very high. But if at ever a point, let me just state this, at ever a point, the AAF gets really high attendance, these AAF guys will turn it right around and they'll make it into a full-fledged league. Don't you worry your pretty little heads. I think that's kind of the direction that they're going. They want to see how deep these teams want to go. And that'll be a lot of fun to see how that kind of pans out, because you know that not only does the AAF have a quality content because the numbers were high, very high, and man, do fans need this particular style of football at this time because there's just not a lot of things to be talked about. But this right here could be something really special. And I had a lot of fun watching it over the weekend. Let me know what you guys think in the chat about the AAF. Let's get straight into the Kareem Hunt stuff. Kareem Hunt has been signed by the Browns. 1-year deal. And the commissioner and so on, league offices have already talked about it's going to take about 30 to 60 days to start the ruling on whether he will be suspended or not, if there will be discipline taken. But the Cleveland Browns were hot on the trail of this, and they said, we got Nick Chubb. We've got Duke Johnson. And a guy like Kareem Hunt just sitting on waivers and nobody wants to touch his ass. No homo. But to bring him in, you know what I'm saying? To bring him in and go, we're going to take a chance on Kareem Hunt. I've got two feelings about this, and I got to say, man, the first feeling is, man, the NFL just does not know the priority of things, do they? Let me step back for just a second and say, the first thing that I thought about when I heard that Kareem Hunt was signing with the Browns, 1-year deal. They're going to wait to see if there's a suspension or not. But allow me to state this. The NFL does not have its priorities straight. When a team is able to sign someone, even though there was a domestic violence dispute, and yet slap the wrists of those who smoke marijuana, whether it be for recreational or medical purposes. And I know a lot of people don't want to get into nitty gritty, but I will get into the nitty gritty of this. I think that is two-face. I think that is lame. I think that is an uneducated system. And it must be fixed. And we've been calling for this, and I don't know about you guys, but we in the community, we as in the people that are starting these platforms and want to really have discussions, have been calling for this for a very, very, very long time. The league needs to get it right. They need to have solidified rules and regulations for the off-the-field problems and or the on-the-field suspensions or problems. Not every case needs to be special. There is a black and white to these particular types of situations. And as someone who is trying to work on this platform, I want to have a say in this, and my say is the NFL are idiots. They have no idea how to handle their own players. They have no idea what rulings need to be handed down for certain situations, and they're making it up as they go. It's the wild, wild west out there in the NFL, and if you're a player, you need to go to the Players Association right now if you're listening to this, and you need to bang on the table and say, this needs to be fixed. I need to know what the rules are for suspensions, for regulations, for discipline, and I need to know if they're set in stone. If I go out and get a DUI, what happens to me? We have no idea what will happen to any player if they get a DUI. You know why? Because there's no solid ruling on it. It's the same thing with domestic violence disputes or with marijuana or with PEDs. There's no real answer to these questions. And that's something that we all need to kind of step back and go, you know what? As fans, we all need to kind of get the NFL's attention. You need to be more transparent with your rulings about what happens here and what happens there. Every case somehow is different. There's some kind of different suspension, money or games or, full years of suspension. What's up with that? What's up with that? This ain't the Wild West, buddy. This is 2019, and we got things that we need to have solidified. Now, the Browns are taking a huge, huge, huge gamble here, and this brings me to my second point. Good on the Browns. Good on the Browns. They're going out and putting their necks out on a guy that they believe is not going to get suspended for a long time and put a dynamic player on the field. And you know what? Good for them. If they somehow get out of this with Kareem Hunt only missing half a season, if Kareem Hunt goes through all of the programs the NFL wants to do with their discipline, or, he misses half a season or something along those lines, more than 3/4 of the season, the Browns could still use Kareem Hunt. And, F it. No other team wanted to go out there and go do the dirty work. Go say, you know what, Kareem Hunt, we're going to stick with you through the process. We're going to believe in you through this process. You sound remorseful. You sound like you're wanting to do any and every little thing to get back into the game and go through the right process with the NFL. Let it be. Let it be what it is. Let it be. And so there needs to be a committee. And Law Nation is 100% correct in the chat right now. There needs to be a committee. There needs to be a committee that knows what the rules are, set in stone on some tablets from the top of the NFL mountains made by the NFL gods, and bring it down and say, this is your crime. This is what you have two alternatives, or this is the thing that's going to happen to you, and you have to serve your time. And this is the penalty. Done. So if let's play devil's advocate. If Kareem Hunt isn't suspended for long. If he's not suspended for long, here's the deal. They have Nick Chubb and they have Duke Johnson. And that means that Duke Johnson will probably be the odd man out. Nick Chubb did very well last year. But Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if that works out, that's a dynamic set of running backs right there. That's a really good set of running backs. And that might start the process of elimination when it comes to what teams are feeling out Le'Veon Bell, Tevin Coleman, some of these other dudes. How much will these guys get paid? Obviously, the Kareem Hunt situation is different, but this eliminates a team from that class. You know? Anywho, good on Kareem Hunt for following the system, whatever system that is. Basically just laying his hands out and saying, you tell me what I need to do to get back into this league, how long my suspension will be or whatever, and we'll go from there. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, hit that notification bell, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Unintentional Grounding. So, yes, I see people in the chat, and they're wanting to talk about Bob Sutton, the former defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Had a great defense last year. I believe they ranked number 6, I believe. Ranked all over the place in different categories. But the the short and skinny of it all is that Bob Sutton is coming in as a game management assistant to Dan Quinn. And Dan Quinn worked under Bob Sutton in New York. And that's where you start to see the correlation between what Dan Quinn is trying to bring in to have a solidified coaching staff and front office worth of a bunch of very, very talented, older, veteran coaches, established dudes that know exactly what they're doing. And in part, some ideas that Dan Quinn can utilize in his 43 under with some 34 guys that he has on the team. Now, I'm not going to get into the contract situations going on right now, but with Sutton coming in, that proves to me that Dan Quinn wants to surround himself with as many guys that can take as much pressure off of him while he just does his job. And I like that. I like that for a young head coach to come out and say, look, I'm a little overwhelmed, or, you know what, I need to concentrate on one thing. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I am not upset with that. I'm actually fine with that. That's all I'm going to say on Bob Sutton. Because until we actually see things in action, this is just another coach put onto the fire that is the Atlanta Falcons front office, and let's see how bright that fire burns with him being there helping Dan Quinn in these situations. Let's get on to the g-Dawg mock draft, because I definitely want everyone to hear this mock draft. This draft was made January 31st, so a lot has changed in that time. Opinions, different film has come out. People have made different discussion points on it, and I haven't seen a new mock from him, and I asked him if I could do his mock on my show. He said yes, and so here we go. We're going to talk about this mock, and this is for Falcons fans mostly, so if you're not a Falcons fan, I'm so sorry, but listen to what Falcons fans are talking about. You'll get an idea of how we're thinking. All right? So here we go. The g-Dawg mock draft. Thank you so much, g-Dawg, by the way, for allowing me to go ahead and use your mock on here. But the first pick for the Atlanta Falcons at pick 14 is Jonah Williams. And he has him listed as a right tackle, 6'5", 301. We'll see more of him at the Combine. But he is saying that with Jonah Williams taking up the right tackle position or potentially taking up the guard position, the Atlanta Falcons solidify their needs for the next 10 years. I think that's a little far-fetched, but I digress. I still thought this mock was interesting enough to talk about that I wanted to put down a few notes and words. But Jonah Williams being drafted in the first round, you guys tell me in the chat. Jonah Williams, first round, he made it all the way to 14. I don't know how that happened. I think this is a little far-fetched. It's a slight bit far-fetched. But it's a good discussion point, and as we were talking, I believe on our last live chat, we talked a little bit about what if the Falcons did take a offensive lineman in the first round? What if it was a Jonah Williams? Or what if it was a Dalton Reisner? Or what if it was a Chris Lindstrom if he had pushed himself up that high? And I don't have any problem with taking an offensive lineman in the first round, even though a lot of people are now coming out, and the Draft Network has already put a couple of mocks where we've done this, but a lot of people are saying the Falcons could trade down with a team like the Browns or a team like the Raiders and move down slightly so that they can acquire more picks and just still have a solid mock, still have a solid full draft for 2019. So this is Group 2, by the way, speaking about how the Falcons should draft. This is a mock draft that has 2 back-to-back offensive linemen going in rounds 1 and round 2. And the second pick is Chris Lindstrom, offensive guard from Boston College. Now, I think that both of these picks are not going to be there. But I love the Lindstrom pick so much. I am not a big proponent of the Jonah Williams pick. The Jonah Williams pick, to me, makes me kind of itch. Law Nation probably knows exactly the same feel that I have. Jonah Williams in the first round kind of makes me itch. It ain't the best. But I will digress. If you do pick Jonah Williams and Chris Lindstrom in the first and second rounds, you have basically told the entire world, we're out here to protect Matt Ryan, out here to make sure that he stays upright, out here to make sure that this offense is scoring 20, 25 points a game, and making sure that our offense is as good as it can possibly get. Now, Jonah Williams tape, I have my own takes. You probably already heard. I don't like him. But Chris Lindstrom is a mauler. And as a guard, Chris Lindstrom does a lot for you. And I really, really like this pick. I would really like this pick if it was a trade down pick later in the first round and we had a secondary first round pick or 2 seconds. And Lindstrom was our first round pick. I wouldn't have any problem with that whatsoever. Lindstrom gives you everything you're looking for, except for the fact that he's not a great zone blocker. He's more of a pass protector. So g-Dawg going with back-to-back offensive linemen. Little bit of a stretch for his guy. A little bit of a stretch for those guys. Third round, he has us taking Kalen Saunders, defensive tackle out of Western Illinois. 6 foot, 320 pounds. Now, let me say that Grady Jarrett, we talked about this on the show. Grady Jarrett is the exception, not the rule, when taking later round defensive linemen. And with such a great defensive line class, I would be highly, highly disappointed if we didn't use our first round pick or use our second round pick on one of these talents. You want to strike while the iron is hot, and the iron is hot for the first 2 rounds or 3 rounds. And although Kalen Saunders is one of those guys that I feel could really give you a stout defender, Saunders, to me, even with his athleticism and how great he is, just doesn't do it for me. You got Crawford, Grady Jarrett, Michael Bennett, and Dedrin Senat sitting there, and only one of them will probably move outside permanently if the Falcons want to go in that direction with Jack Crawford. And if that is the case, then that means you really only have one opening for defensive tackle, and you're using that on a 3rd round pick, so a Dedrin Senat level of work for Kalen Saunders. But it's still a solid pick, not one that I'm going to scoff at all, but one that I'm definitely putting a question mark at, because look at how many defensive ends that we have on the team right now, and you're going into the 3rd round and taking Kalen Saunders. This is where the mock actually starts to get really good. The Lindstrom pick really gives me high hopes for this mock. The Saunders pick, I'm down on it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not happy with it. And then when he goes into the 4th round with g-Dawg's mock, he says that we take Jonathan Ledbetter, defensive end out of Georgia, 6'3", 277 pounds, probably the best defensive end that was on that Georgia class, or on that Georgia defensive line, and could be a potential sleeper defensive end that could do very well for a team. I saw his power. I saw some of his athleticism as a player on the field, and I didn't have any problem with him. He's not a crazy explosive guy, though. He's more of a methodical, get to the quarterback after a long fight kind of guy. So you need some coverage downfield to make the quarterback question where he's going to throw the ball, and then allow a Ledbetter to be able to get to the ball. So he's definitely, both Saunders and Ledbetter are works in progress. Neither one of these players are going to give you a very, very large setup. They're not going to give you a very, very large range of athleticism and or short-term success. This is a long-term mock here. I can tell from the mock of Jonah Williams at 14 and Lindstrom at 47 in the 2nd round that this is a long-term solution to some problems that have plagued us, and I actually don't hate it, but I'm a defensive guy, so of course this has turned me off a little bit. The picks have been solid up to this point, though. Saunders, Lindstrom, Jonah Williams, and Ledbetter. With the 2nd pick, the comp pick in the 4th round, I know a lot about Hamp Cheevers. Boston College corner, 5'10", 180 pounds. I've seen him against Clemson. We absolutely dominated him. But he would be a very interesting slot corner for this team, and he's a feisty one. Led the country with 7 interceptions. Undersized guy, but he could be a great nickel corner. And that could free up a little space and time for us to make better decisions with the Ricardo Allen, DeMonte KZ situation going on there. Then he has Khalil Hodge, outside linebacker out of Buffalo, going to us in the 5th round. And this is a very interesting pick because I think Khalil Hodge is going to go much earlier than this. And of course, we're still so far away from the combine. And, there's so much that could happen from this point to the draft. But Khalil Hodge is a very interesting linebacker. He's more of a old school downhill linebacker. Some will question his athleticism and coverage ability. but he's a very aggressive linebacker. Got a great first step. And he's got a lot of football IQ. That's something that I can say, is that he has a lot of football IQ. Athleticism to get there, but the IQ to be in the right spot, 100%. Khalil Hodge would be a very interesting pick for the Atlanta Falcons. He has us taking Hunter Renfrow with our 5th round comp pick. Good lordy. Trying to suck up to me there. No, G-Dawg didn't make this mock with me in mind. Hunter Renfrow, 5'10", 185 pounds. Stick him on his hands. Just a chain mover. He's not going to blow you away with athleticism. He's not going to blow you away with speed. What he is going to do is create separation, open those hips, find an open area and zone defenses, man-to-man. He's going to run a clean route. And he's going to have you move the chains, whether it's 4 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 15 yards. Hunter Renfrow can do that for you. And he is still in the early stages of being a very competitive wide receiver. And with this wide receiver group that we have right now, and Julio and Sanu and Calvin and Russell Gage, it would be interesting to add a Hunter Renfrow and see what he can achieve with a guy like a Matt Ryan and tutelage under Mohamed Sanu and Julio Jones. It would be very interesting to see what Hunter Renfrow could do. I'm not going to say that he's faster than Cole Beasley. He's definitely not. Cole Beasley is a much faster athlete. He's not Julian Edelman either. But there are comparisons to his height, weight, crisp route running. Hunter Renfrow, to me, is draftable anywhere from round 5 to round 7. And could be a steal for a team that's looking for just a good possession wide receiver, maybe even a red zone threat. He's just sneaky. He finds open parts of the field, and you can hit him in stride and allow him to do what he does best, which is, just create yards, man. Just churn up, create yards, move the chains, move the sticks. Really like his play. 6th round, he has us taking Rodney Anderson, and there's an injury risk on this man from Oklahoma, 6'1", 219, kind of our Tevin Coleman replacement. Somewhere in this mock, I would have liked to see Elijah Holyfield instead of Anderson, but the way that he mocked early with offensive linemen and then kind of started putting some defensive pieces together, I feel that this mock justifies Rodney Anderson going in the later rounds. But depending on his physical with the NFL and what he does, whether that be with the combine or the pro day or the top 30 visits with any team, potential look at him and some private workouts and so on and so forth, Anderson really does have a lot of great skill set to him. Especially in a zone scheme, Anderson could be a sneaky fast runner. And his highlights and his tape show everything that you want in that. He also has great pass protection. I really do like Anderson's ability to jump right in, try to find a way to get a block for his quarterback to throw something down the field. Very balanced runner. He is not the fastest. He is not the quickest. He's not the most athletic, but he is crazy balanced. On all the scales, I think all of his stats, if you looked at them on give or take Madden or any of these other, like if he was on a video game, he would be incredibly balanced. There would be no stat that was shooting way up into the 90s or something along those lines. It was all 70s down the board. He's a very, very balanced running back. And I think that that's something the Falcons are looking for. A bigger, taller type of running back to gain some well-needed yards and find a little burst through a hole and create something. Ito Smith and Freeman. Freeman's not going to be here for too much longer. But Ito Smith and Freeman are almost the same running back. You need a complement running back that does something a little bit different. And no, I'm not going to jump onto this train with all of the other Falcons fans who are talking about, let's keep our boy that's already on the roster, Brian Hill. Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. And I love how a lot of the Vachites, I'm going to call them Vachites, or the Lombardi boys, have come out to me on Twitter or on my channel and have told me about all the dudes that I have promoted, or all the dudes that I am trying to do tape on, that I am 100% wrong, that Vach is 100% right. And apparently his word is law, and that's the end of that. If Hunter Renfrow is not liked by Vach Lombardi, that means he's not draftable. And I look at players a little bit differently as a defensive guy going up against offensive guys, and I go, I think that you may have pulled the trigger a little too quick on any of these players. And we got to remember that whether it's my channel or Law's channel or Vach's channel or whatever channel you go to, Mad Mike Sports or wherever, that the player comparisons, what we say, is not law. It is not set in stone that all these players can become something better or something worse. And so just looking at the g-Dawg mock, to get back on the track, the g-Dawg mock is very, very offensively driven. And it relies heavily, and I mean heavily, on later round talents in Kalen Saunders and Jonathan Ledbetter to be driving forces for this team and somehow make it work. I am not going to condemn this mock. I think this mock is perfect. I think this mock is perfect for those who want a mock that is offensively driven, looking for late round gems, looking for guys that are going to make a difference. And that the early round picks are offensively driven and protects Matt Ryan. If that is what you want to do, you are part of Group 2, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Group 1 is where I put my foot down. That's the side of the grass or the side of the fence that I am on. And I want to go defense early and often to fix a situation where tack is the only defensive end right now, where the defensive tackle position probably needs an injection of youth and leadership, where the linebacker position really only has one solid linebacker, a linebacker that has a question mark, and Foye Oluokun, who I really like, but think still needs time. And then Campbell and Duke Riley. Threw up in my mouth a little bit there. Let me get a little bit of water and wash that down. But I digress. The Falcons' defensive issues and woes need to be front and center and need to be fixed now, not later, now. Not in round 4, 5, 6, in rounds 1, 2, 3. We need impact players. We cannot have another Calvin Ridley 2018 draft. Nothing on Ridley, but that was the wrong idea, to go offensively heavy in the first round and then hit up guys and hope that they're going to be major stars for this team. Which now brings me to this. My next mock draft is coming out in 3 days. In 3 days, you will see a mock draft on this channel, fully reworked. A full mock draft, not like this nonsense right here. Ayo Nixo, good to see you, man. Rise up, stay grounded. Thank you for the $5 donation in the chat. I really appreciate that, man. Every penny going towards the work here that I try to do. Thank you so much. But this group right now, this setup right now that we have going on, might mean that we need some defensive tackles to play defensive end and vice versa. And that the linebacker situation needs to be fixed. I heard Aaron Freeman's comments on Devondre Campbell and how we might need to shop him. I think that's something that can be worked out. C. Glenn says, you think Oliver going to drop now? Depends on what he does at the combine. He might go back up into that top 10, top 5 grouping if he can show that athletic prowess, because there will be a team that will look at that athletic prowess and go, I got to have that on my team. Got to have that on my team. But that's just my 2 cents. Doesn't mean that it is, that does not mean that it is law. B Border, 808 B Border said, hey, Isaiah Oliver going to take the second-year leap? I think so. I think so. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see more Isaiah Oliver. I think that he's the truth. I truly do. Brazilian X Skills says, did you see my mock in the other chat? I did not, and we will do that a little bit later. But I will have a full mock draft in the next 3 days. It will hit up. I believe I'll drop it on Thursday. Fully worked mock draft, full video, not a live chat for you guys. It'll be my first one on here. I believe I did a live mock draft for you guys, but this will be my first official one. And we will talk a little bit about some of the first 32 picks, and we will talk a little bit about what the Falcons will be doing in the future. That being stated, thank you so much for joining me in here. I will be heading over to twitch.tv/unintentional grounding. Link is in the description of the video here. And I will be playing some video games with some of the grounders a little bit later tonight. You guys check back in here, check back in on twitch.tv/unintentional grounding for live video coverage of me playing some Apex Legends, as well as some some Xbox games as well. We'll be doing some fun over there. Make sure that you follow the channel. It'll be fun. I think that'll be great. So again, thank you all for popping in here. I really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Rise up, stay grounded. And again, speaking nothing but the facts and the truth from all of you boys and girls out there listening to the channel. I really appreciate all the support. Talk to you guys later. Peace and hair grease. Rise up.